Hey Spurs fans, welcome back to another update on our San Antonio Spurs. Before we jump into today's breaking news, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. And here's something special for you. Everyone who subscribes and leave a comment with their name and the city they're watching for will automatically be entered into our giveaway to win an official San Antonio Spurs jersey. So don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and comment your name and city below. Stay tuned, because the next Spurs fan wearing the jersey could be you. San Antonio's restraint is aging well. In a league that rewards impulse as often as it punishes it, the Spurs declined to chase a marquee name and instead doubled down on continuity, fit, and identity. That choice looked conservative in the moment. It now reads like conviction. The question is no longer whether they missed out. It is whether they dodged a storm. Houston's recent slide has sharpened the contrast. 3 consecutive losses, a record of 22 wins against 14 defeats, and a tumble to 7th in the Western Conference have exposed fault lines that star power alone cannot seal. Dropping back-to-back games to Portland and then falling to Sacramento is not a crisis by itself. It is a signal that the scaffolding around the headline act is still settling. Kevin Durant remains a singular scorer, but the Rockets' skid underscores a familiar tension. Adding elite offense does not automatically stabilize late-game execution, defensive connectivity, or role clarity. He produced, the results did not follow. That gap between individual brilliance and collective resilience is where culture either holds or frays. The temptation in San Antonio was real. Durant reportedly had interest, and the allure of instant gravity is hard to ignore. Yet the Spurs' calculus has always been broader than highlights. They value possession economy, defensive length, and a hierarchy that amplifies Victor Wembanyama's growth without distorting the ecosystem around him. A blockbuster that compromises those pillars is not a shortcut. It is a detour. Durant's post-Golden State journey has been complicated. Brooklyn unraveled under competing agendas and availability issues. Phoenix flashed promise, then collided with chemistry and accountability questions. None of this erases his talent. It does, however, remind front offices that fit is not a slogan. It is the difference between momentum and noise. Houston's path to acquire Durant reportedly required meaningful outgoing pieces. The notion that Dillon Brooks and Jalen Green were part of the cost speaks to the trade's structural impact. Brooks' return from injury coincided with Phoenix finding traction and overtaking the Rockets in the standings. A small but telling data point about how connective defenders and emotional tone-setters influence outcomes beyond the box score. San Antonio's hypothetical price would have been steep. Depth matters in a long season, and young guards are the lifeblood of modern spacing and pace. Shipping out rotation stability for a single offensive engine risks narrowing the team's margin for error, especially when the core is still coalescing around Wembanyama's unique gravity. There is also the question of timeline. The Spurs are building a runway, not a cliff. Victor Wembanyama's development accelerates when surrounded by complementary shooting, switchable wings, and guards who can toggle between creation and containment. A move that compresses the timeline without reinforcing those layers can create short-term excitement and long-term turbulence. Culture is not a press release. It is 1,000 small decisions. San Antonio's refusal to chase a headline at the expense of cohesion aligns with the franchise's history, role clarity, accountability, and incremental improvement. That approach does not preclude ambition. It channels it. The front office can still pursue high-impact wings or scalable scores who fit the geometry of their system without rewriting the team's DNA. The Rockets' stumble is not a referendum on Durant's legacy. It is a reminder that roster architecture wins in January and survives in May. When a team loses to opponents in transition or struggles to close winnable games despite star production, the issue is rarely talent. It is alignment. San Antonio's decision to opt out of that particular gamble looks prudent because it preserved alignment. For Spurs fans, vindication is not about schadenfreude. It is about clarity. The organization chose a path that protects the core, sustains defensive integrity, and keeps the ball moving. That choice has kept the season's arc intact, and the locker room's trust unbroken. In a year where the window is beginning to open, stability is not caution, it is leverage. The broader lesson is simple and firm. Not every superstar solves your problems, so magnify them. The Spurs' restraint signals a mature understanding of their needs and a refusal to let urgency override design. That is how you build a team that can absorb variance, withstand injuries, and still find its level when the schedule tightens. There will be other opportunities. San Antonio can explore wings who stretch the floor without monopolizing possessions, guards who defend at the point of attack while making clean reads, and forwards who rebound, switch, and finish without demanding a reorganization of the offense. Those moves may lack fireworks. They deliver wins. In the end, the rocket spiral is a cautionary tale, not a punchline. The Spurs' choice to stay out of that sweepstakes preserved depth, protected chemistry, and kept the focus where it belongs, on maximizing Victor Wembanyama's ascent with pieces that elevate the whole. That is not nostalgia. It is strategy. And right now, it looks like the right one. Before we go on, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Your support keeps our Spurs coverage strong and brings you the latest updates straight from San Antonio. And jump into the comments. Tell us what you think about today's news. The video opens with a jarring headline splashed across the screen. Stephon Castle says, "Nobody on the roster wants him back." The words hang in the air like a thunderclap, leaving fans stunned and the NBA community scrambling for answers. The footage cuts to Castle himself, his expression firm and unflinching, as he delivers the statement with a conviction that instantly transforms whispers into a full-blown storm. The intrigue is immediate. Who is Castle referring to? What player has become so divisive within the Spurs locker room that the team's rising star felt compelled to speak out publicly? The video teases fragments of conversations, locker room footage, and Castle's candid remarks, ensuring that viewers are hooked from the very first second. Inside the Spurs organization, the atmosphere is tense. Castle's words are not just a critique. They're a declaration of unity against a figure who, for reasons yet unclear, has lost the trust of his teammates. The statement suggests a fracture that goes beyond performance, hinting at deeper issues of chemistry, respect, and culture. Fans in San Antonio erupted with shock as the clip circulated online. Social media platforms lit up with speculation, theories, and heated debates. Some demanded to know the identity of the player Castle was referring to, while others praised Castle for his honesty and leadership. The city, already buzzing with excitement over the team's resurgence, now finds itself grappling with a controversy that could reshape its narrative. National media outlets seized on the story, turning Castle's remarks into a headline that dominated sports broadcasts. Analysts debated the implications, with some framing the statement as a necessary act of accountability, while others warned that such public declarations could destabilize the locker room. The narrative quickly evolved into one of the most compelling dramas of the season. Within the Spurs locker room, reactions were mixed but intense. Some players reportedly nodded in agreement with Castle's assessment, while others remained silent, unwilling to stoke the flames further. The sense of division was palpable, and the question of whether the team could maintain its cohesion became a pressing concern. Rival teams watched closely, aware that internal turmoil could weaken San Antonio's momentum. Coaches and executives began recalibrating their strategies, anticipating that the Spurs' chemistry might falter under the weight of controversy. Yet others saw Castle's boldness as a sign of strength, proof that the young guard was willing to protect the team's culture at all costs. The player at the center of the storm, though unnamed in Castle's remarks, became the subject of endless speculation. Was it a veteran who had clashed with a younger core? A recent addition who failed to integrate? Or perhaps a figure whose off-court behavior had eroded trust? The mystery only heightened the drama, keeping fans and analysts glued to every update. Victor Wembanyama, the franchise's centerpiece, was inevitably drawn into the conversation. As the leader of the Spurs' new era, his stance on Castle's remarks carried immense weight. Though he remained measured in his public comments, insiders suggested that Wembanyama valued Castle's honesty and shared his commitment to preserving the team's chemistry. The controversy also sparked debates about leadership in modern basketball. Castle's willingness to speak out publicly was seen by some as a refreshing act of transparency, while others argued that such matters should remain behind closed doors. The clash of perspectives underscored the evolving dynamics of player empowerment and accountability in the NBA. Sponsors and business partners reacted with caution, aware that the controversy could impact the Spurs brand. Yet many recognized the surge of attention generated by Castle's remarks, seeing opportunity in the narrative of resilience and honesty. The commercial ripple effects were as significant as the on-court implications. International media joined the chorus, framing Castle's statement as emblematic of a new generation of players unafraid to voice their truths. Analysts in Europe and Asia highlighted the boldness of his words, suggesting that they reflected a broader cultural shift in professional sports. The announcement resonated globally, sparking debates about respect, trust, and leadership. Inside the Spurs headquarters, executives faced mounting pressure to address the situation. Statements of support for Castle were issued, emphasizing the organization's commitment to its young core and its culture of accountability. Yet critics remained skeptical, questioning whether the team could truly move forward without resolving the underlying tensions. The NBA itself felt the ripple effects. League officials acknowledged that Castle's remarks could influence narratives, ratings, and even playoff dynamics. The controversy was not confined to one team. It was a storyline that touched the entire league, altering expectations and reshaping the drama of competition. The video crescendos with dramatic music, highlighting Castle's final words. Nobody on the roster wants him back. The statement resonates far beyond basketball, striking a chord with anyone who has ever grappled with issues of trust and belonging. The emotional intensity ensures that the story will linger in public consciousness. As the narrative unfolds, Castle's identity as a player of resilience and conviction becomes the central theme. His remarks are framed not as an act of cruelty, but as a bold step toward protecting the team's future. The controversy is acknowledged, but is also celebrated as a moment of clarity and leadership. Fans oscillate between heartbreak and admiration. The thought of division within the team is painful, but Castle's honesty sparks hope that the Spurs can rebuild stronger. Social media becomes a stage for endless speculation, with supporters debating the identity of the player and imagining how the team might evolve without him. The Spurs, meanwhile, are forced to confront their past. The decision to support Castle's remarks is a turning point, pushing the franchise to reconsider how it values players and how it defines success. The controversy becomes a catalyst for introspection, reshaping the organization's philosophy. Ultimately, Castle's statement is more than a basketball story. It is a human story of trust, respect, and leadership. His words, "Nobody on the roster wants him back," resonate as a powerful reminder that chemistry and culture are as vital to success as talent and statistics. The NBA watches closely, knowing that this moment could redefine the relationship between players, teams, and the truth. The article closes with a reminder. In the world of basketball, controversies are not just distractions. They are opportunities for growth. Stephon Castle's bold declaration has rocked the Spurs, but it has also ignited a narrative of resilience and accountability. Fans remain captivated, eager to see how the team will respond, and the suspense continues to build. The reverberations of Stephon Castle's explosive statement have continued to ripple across the NBA, sparking heated debates among analysts, fans, and insiders. His words, "Nobody on the roster wants him back," have become a lightning rod for discussions about locker room culture, accountability, and the delicate balance between talent and chemistry. The controversy has not only shaken the Spurs, but has also forced the league to confront uncomfortable truths about how teams handle internal conflict. Fans in San Antonio remain divided. Some applaud Castle for his honesty, praising him as a young leader unafraid to protect the team's integrity. Others worry that such public remarks could fracture the locker room and create lasting tension. The emotional split among supporters has created a volatile atmosphere, with social media serving as the battleground where loyalty, frustration, and speculation collide. National media outlets have amplified the drama, turning Castle's comments into a headline that dominates sports coverage. Talk shows and podcasts dissect every angle, from the identity of the player in question to the broader implications for the Spurs season. The narrative has shifted from San Antonio's promising rise to the potential risks of internal discord, ensuring that the story remains at the forefront of NBA conversation. Rival teams are watching closely, aware that the Spurs' chemistry could be compromised by the controversy. Coaches and executives are recalibrating their strategies, anticipating that San Antonio might struggle to maintain cohesion under the weight of Castle's remarks. Yet others see the situation as proof of Castle's leadership, interpreting his boldness as a sign that the young guard is willing to defend the team's culture at all costs. Inside the Spurs locker room, the fallout has been intense. Reports suggest that some players quietly support Castle's stance, while others remain cautious, unwilling to stoke the flames further. The sense of division is palpable, and the question of whether the team can rally together in the face of controversy looms large. The atmosphere is heavy, with every practice and game carrying the weight of unresolved tension. Former players and NBA legends have weighed in, offering their perspectives on the situation. Some praise Castle for his courage, recalling moments when similar acts of honesty helped preserve team culture. Others caution that airing grievances publicly can erode trust and destabilize locker rooms. Their voices add depth to the unfolding drama, reminding fans that leadership is as much about timing and discretion as it is about conviction. Within the Spurs headquarters, executives face mounting pressure to address the situation. Statements of support for Castle have been issued, emphasizing the organization's commitment to its young core and its culture of accountability. Yet critics remain skeptical, questioning whether the team can truly move forward without resolving the underlying tensions. The franchise's reputation, once untouchable, now faces scrutiny. Ultimately, the repercussions of Castle's remarks extend far beyond the immediate controversy. His words have redefined expectations, reshaped narratives, and reignited debates about the balance between talent and chemistry. For San Antonio, the situation represents both a challenge and an opportunity, a chance to prove that honesty and accountability can strengthen a team rather than weaken it. For the NBA, it is a reminder that power dynamics can shift overnight, and that the most compelling stories often emerge not from the scoreboard, but from the locker room itself. That's it for today's update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of every exclusive San Antonio Spurs news drop, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. And don't forget, your opinion matters to Spurs Nation. Share your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.